Hi there, I'm Allison K Williams. I'm the author of 7 Drafts, Self-Edit Like a Pro from Blank Page to Book, which is all about how writers can go from a vague idea in their head to a finished book in their hands. I've lived in Dubai for 7 years now. I'm historically American and Canadian, and I'm always impressed by the level of commitment to arts and culture here in the UAE. It's really incredible and heartwarming. So I think the 3 biggest things that aspiring writers can keep in mind when it comes to actually publishing their work and getting it out there with the world is, number 1, it's going to be way more work than you think it is. And I say that not to be discouraging, but because when we get into the weeds and we're trying to figure out draft number 11, which we have named final, I really mean it this time, ... it's not just you. It is hard for everyone, and it is always harder than you think it's going to be. And especially if this is your first book, you're not just learning how to write this book, you're learning how to write a book as well. The second thing I would say is the book that's in your head is not necessarily the book that's on the page. And so it's really important to get an outside reader, a trusted friend, someone whose opinion you admire, who you know is a good reader, to read it and tell you what they know about your characters, your plot, your dialogue, because something that's very, very clear in your head may not actually be written on the page. And the third thing I would say is meet as many other writers as you can. In real life, on social media, at conferences, at events like the Literary Festival, because the more other writers you know, the less lonely the journey becomes, not only because you get support from other writers, but because the action of supporting other writers helps you feel powerful about your own work. So the biggest mistakes I see when people edit their own work are actually mechanical issues. And the 2 biggest ones are excess prepositional phrases. So like prepositions locate us in time and space, on the water, on the lawn, at the literary festival. And the more prepositional phrases you have in a sentence, the more places the reader has to go with you. So here I am with Lila and her cameraman on the lawn at the Literary Festival at the Intercontinental in Dubai. It's too much. You're making the reader go here, 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 here. And the other way that prepositional phrases get repetitive is when they say the obvious, like a nod of the head. Well, all nods are of the head. You know, unless you're nodding your elbow, we don't need the specification. The other thing I would say is really challenging for writers when they edit their own work is it's hard to take time. It's hard to step back, let your manuscript breathe for a little bit, maybe work a little on another project, maybe write a short story, maybe work on your social media presence or your author platform, and then come back. Because when you've let that manuscript sit for 2 weeks or a month or even 6 months if you can stand it, when you come back, there's a whole new set of problems that like leap to the eye because you're no longer in the thick of writing about it. So my book is called 7 Drafts, Self-Edit Like a Pro from Blank Page to Book. But the title is kind of a lie, because honestly, if I'm writing a novel, like something that I have to go with the twists and turns, I have to figure out the imagination part, it's going to take 12, 15, 17 drafts. But I felt like if I called the book 17 Drafts, it would be too discouraging and nobody would buy it. I like to break the drafts down as there's the vomit draft, which is just get it out, get it on the page, see what you have to work with. Then the story draft, go through and refine what's the dramatic arc, what does it all mean? Does it end with satisfaction? Does it start with a strong hook? Then take a look at the characters in your character draft. Does everybody have a logical action as they go through the story? Do your villains seem like humans and not just like paper obstacles for your hero to fight against? Then I say the technical draft, which is where you look at are all your sentences and paragraphs strong and clean and the best words you can tell your story in. Then a quick personal copy edit just to clean everything up, get your friends to read it, and then get an editor to read it. Either a professional editor who you can hire or just someone you know to be a better writer than you. And so I think those are like your 7 drafts, but some of those drafts are more than 1 draft apiece.